All right, hello everybody and welcome to the Josh's Jabs YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit of a recap of UFC Fight Night Rozenstruik versus Sakai, but we're also going to be doing sort of a double episode where I talk about the fight of the year so far and exactly what makes a fight of the year a candidate, what makes a fight a candidate for the fight of the year. So we'll start with a quick little recap here of this weekend's past event. Now, main things to bring up here are the co-main and the main event, which both featured really good performances from their respective winners. Now we'll start with Walt Harris versus Marcin Tybura. Marcin Tybura, 5-fight win streak right now. He is red hot. He's doing incredibly well. And, you know, Tybura is one of those guys that has gone really under the radar in recent years. Obviously, he got out to a really hot start in the UFC. He was in a Fight Night main event with Verdum, I believe. That's a pretty big stage to be on, and I think at one point in time he was in the top 10, top 5 of the division, and he kind of fell off a little bit, but he's back on track. 5-fight win streak. Y'all must have forgot. The guy's legit. He's done a really good job of sort of revitalizing his career here. He's looked incredible, and he takes out a really tough guy in Walt Harris. Now, first round, Walt Harris is dangerous. He's got big-time power, but I feel like he's been in a bit of a rough patch. Obviously, the events that happened in his personal life are extremely tragic and really hard to deal with. And I wouldn't want to be stepping in the cage. I mean, I'm sure every time he fights, he probably has that on his mind. So obviously, go look that up if you don't know what it is. It's a very tragic story. But it's just hard to get into that mode that you have to be in to fight in a cage every time when you have to think about that. So it's been a tough break for him, losing to Overeem, losing to Volkov, and now to Tybura. So if I were him, I'm pretty sure he's been doing a lot of stuff on the desk. He's got a good side gig there. I'd try and grab one more victory and ride off into the sunset if I were him. You know, I think that he's a little bit too old to be making a climb to the top. So grab a win, right off into the sunset. We'll see what's next for him. I would maybe even match up him with Augusto Sakai, who lost in the main event. But back to Marcin Tybura. He's been legit, 5 victories. He's looked really impressive. His fights against Rothwell were great. His fight against Greg Hardy was great. And now this one. He definitely deserves a big name. And I would give him the loser of the Gane versus Volkov fight that is coming up. I think that would be a good fight. Obviously, the loser of that fight's still going to be in the top 5 of the division, most likely. He deserves a big opportunity to try and take their spot. So whoever is not the next number 1 contender that comes out of that fight, he should get the fight. Main event, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Augusto Sakai. Another last-second finish for Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I don't know how the guy does it. He hears the clappers, and he just turns it on in the last 10 seconds. He did it against Overeem. Early stoppage, but he did it against Overeem, and now he does it here against Augusto Sakai. What to say about this? Augusto Sakai, he's a good martial artist. He's gotten a couple of Fight Night main events here, one after another, and he has not succeeded in winning either of those contests. Obviously, they were against Overeem, who's as legit as they come still. No longer in the UFC, but recently, actually as of this morning, he signed with Glory Kickboxing, so going back to his roots where he became a big figure in the combat sports world. So I wish him all the best, and it'll be interesting to watch him in Glory. But back to this, Augusto Sakai, obviously coming off the loss to Overeem. It is what it is. It's Alistair Overeem. What can you do? He gets another main event slot here against Rozenstruik. The guys are both coming off of losses. Rozenstruik coming off of a fight that was less than entertaining against Gane. Obviously, Gane put on a fantastic performance, worked the jab all night long. But Rozenstruik looked good. The main talking point here is Rozenstruik had to make sure that he went first. That's it. He's a kickboxer. He's a damn good one. He needs to be first. He needs to get the output good and see what happens. And he let his hands go in the last 10 seconds, and he clipped Sakai, and the fight was over. Big performance for him. Him versus Curtis Blaydes makes a lot of sense next. You know, I think Curtis Blaydes is still a top guy in the division. He got caught against Derek Lewis. It is what it is. Lots of people get caught by Derek Lewis. So Rozenstruik, Curtis Blaydes, that'd be a great fight to make. Overall, very fun Fight Night card. Unfortunately, the attention this weekend was on another I'm going to call it a combat entertainment event. I'm sure if you are, if you know the world of combat sports, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Those brothers aren't going to be getting their names said on this channel, so you can go somewhere else for that if you want to hear them. Now on to the big thing. Down there, Ponzinibbio versus Miguel Baeza. What a fight. Now, first of all, before I get into that fight, let's talk a little bit about this year's fights altogether. It's been an incredible year for martial arts. I think I say that every year, obviously because I'm a fan of the sport. Every year seems to just get better and better, even though they're all fantastic. But this year has been great. It's been a great year for martial arts, a great year for growth, and a lot of fantastic events. But the one thing I've noticed about this year is that there's been a lot of fantastic individual performances. Now, what I mean by that is, you have guys like Usman, guys like Ngannou who are in championship world title fights, fighting world title competition, and they pass with flying colors. But they're not really fight of the night contenders because it's so one-sided. It's a fantastic performance for one party, not so much for the other. Now, what makes a fight of the year, if we think back just going last year, top contenders, I guess I'll give the Mount Rushmore for last year. Zhang Weili and Joanna, obviously Figueiredo and Moreno was great. Dan Hooker, Dustin Poirier, and Josh Emmett, Shane Burgos was fantastic. I'll give an honorable mention to Frankie Edgar and Pedro Munoz. That went under the radar a lot. The thing about all these fights, aside from Poirier and Hooker, in the later rounds Poirier took over, but the thing about these fights was that they were so close. There's round after round, things change, momentum shifts. One fighter's doing better, one fighter changes his mind, goes to the ground. You don't really know who's going to win. And they're back and forth, and they're crazy, and it's high output, whether it be on the mat or on the feet. It's just go, 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 nonstop. Both parties want it. Both parties are there to fight. And I think the difference between that, like last year and this year, is that this year there's been so many great fights, but a lot of them have been individual performance based. So I'll give you my mentions for this year. I like to say the term Mount Rushmore. It's just 4 in any order. But I will give you that 4. And I will eliminate a couple of them. Holloway versus Calvin Kattar, Prochazka versus Reyes, Barboza versus Burgos, and now Ponzinibbio versus Miguel Baeza. Now, I will make a video when Holloway fights again this summer on his performance against Kattar. Probably the best individual performance I might have ever seen in my life. I remember it just being a crazy feeling sitting there watching that and knowing that I'm watching something I'll never be seeing again, or maybe never seeing again in my lifetime. It's like when you're watching a TV show and you finish it and you love it and you're like, this is my favorite show, and people say, hey, I wish I could go back and watch this show for the first time again. That's what it was like. That's the first time I experienced that, watching that fight, thinking this is the first time, and like, I'm watching this right now. Like, this is actually happening. It was that incredible, and I'll make a video on that later, but that was a Max Holloway performance. Same with Prochazka versus Reyes. Fantastic fight. Reyes was there to fight, and Prochazka came in and went to work. A guy's a crazy man. He's a fantastic fighter. He's great to watch. But again, that was a Prochazka performance. That was an incredible fight, but it highlighted one party that you can say, wow, that was a great performance from their perspective. Even though their opponent, Reyes and Kattar, brought it. That's what makes them fight of the year contenders. But I take those out. Honorable mentions, obviously, but they're really individual performance based. So then we go to Burgos and Barboza. Knew it was going to be fireworks. It was fantastic. Back and forth, trading kicks, trading punches. It was great. Barboza gets a stoppage of Burgos in one of the weirdest stoppages I've ever seen. Burgos is so tough. He stood there and all of a sudden he's just like, I'm going down. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. But to me, the fight was finished by Barboza, and it was a fantastic fight. But that one, it's this close, and I'm torn between the two. But for now, as of this video, I'll give it to Ponzinibbio and Baeza because it was back and forth. It was non-stop action, and I said, sitting here in this couch, I said, I wouldn't want to be a judge for this fight, because Baeza came out strong, blasting the leg kicks. To me, I wasn't sold on him after his performance against Matt Brown, because he got wobbled in that fight, and I'm like, I don't know about this kid, right? His performance against Takashi Sato was incredible, and here tonight, after that first round, I'm like, all right, this guy's legit. You know, he came in there, he blasted the leg kicks, and the thing that I like most about Miguel Baeza is that he knows when to switch from offense to defense. He knew in that first round when to be on the hunt and when he needed to be on defense. And he played a really good back and forth two-way game, and I think that was incredible. But Ponzinibbio, so underrated because of the Li Jingliang fight. He came back. I believe he was, honestly think he was ranked number 6 when he got booted from the rankings because he was gone for so long due to inactivity. He comes back and gets Li Jingliang, who at the time I don't believe was ranked. I think he's ranked 13 now or 14 now, Li Jingliang. And Jingliang KO'd him, and I think a lot of people just thought, oh, he's not the same after all of the injuries and illness and whatever and whatnot. But he's the same guy. He proved it this fight, because he lost that first round. He was losing that second round, and then he came back and snuck that second round, stole the second round, and then came in there that third round. And at that point, Baeza was not as shored up defensively. He was obviously tired, as you would be, and Ponzinibbio was there to play the game. He ate the leg kicks and kept the boxing pressure on, even blasted some of his own leg kicks. And it was a very complete performance in the later rounds by Ponzinibbio, and it was just a fantastic fight, and it was back and forth. I cannot imagine after that first round what the odds would have looked like in the live betting odds. For Ponzinibbio to come back and win that fight is incredible, and that's what makes that fight of the year to me. The output was insane. It was back and forth, and it was crazy. Just a fantastic fight, and it was so... Watching that reminds me of why I love the sport so much. When you have a weekend where another event is taking precedence in the media and everyone's talking about another event, no one's talking about this unless you're a hardcore true MMA fan, and you get to witness something like that fight. That's why I'm a fan of this sport. Thank you guys all so much for joining me. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content. Obviously, comment down below if you have any questions, and if you want to chat with me, I would love to talk to some of you guys about all things mixed martial arts. But thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.